One of the things that I was fooled by earlier on was media and how things really work. And I know we have covered on the show about, Joy Reid's firing, etc. And people were asking me like, well, why aren't you more sympathetic? I think tonight you're going to see why. Vicki Dillard did an amazing breakdown here of some of the things that were happening behind the scenes, the things that you guys don't see. A lot of the things that happen off camera, not on camera. And I said to myself, thank you for saying this. And I shared this on Twitter and told people, guys, if there's one video that you need to see is this one. Because what Vicki Dillard does in this video is she exposes what Joy Reid and other corporate media commentators were doing behind the scenes. Let's start with this clip. Get ready.
I'm probably wondering why. Well, Joy Reid served as a voluntary and a deliberate voice against the Black grassroots. I constantly went after Joy and talked about her and many other in media because they use their very large platforms that's quickly dying now. They use the access that they had to government and to the minds of the masses using legacy media and cable media to silence us, to mock us, to censor us. So why was Vicki Dillard constantly going after Joy Reid? Because whenever there was something that went down, like that medical situation that hit the world and we were on lockdowns, when it came to censoring social media, guess who was the voice? One of the first few voices that told the Biden administration, impose the mandates, do this, do that. It was Joy Reid, the Don Lemons of the world, and others similarly situated. I was constantly going after Joy Reid, and I'm going to always be a responsible media person. How does Vicki keep getting it right? I'm a spiritual woman first and foremost. And then later on, I end up getting a confirmation of something, receipts for something. Well, Joy was a big defender of Hillary Clinton. And do I believe that she was working behind the scenes to get her talking points from her team? Heck yes. Similarly with Roland Martin. How many of you all know that I was constantly nonstop for the past few years breaking down the fact that Roland Martin's name came up in the WikiLeaks release? Most people did not expect a rejected black bootleg like him to come up in such important documents. But those emails showed that Roland was connected to leaking information to Hillary Clinton's campaign related to a debate question that she was not supposed to have. So he was working hand in hand based on information, credible information. There was evidence of that with her, with the DNC, with the Democratic Party, with the Hillary Clinton campaign. I'm bringing that up because I'm trying to get you all to understand that the people that's supposed to be representing your issues behind the scenes are secretly making sure they get good biscuits.
What did I tell you guys? I told you they were actively silencing Black grassroots voices. They were actively silencing people. Those of us that are independent media, we were being silenced by other Black commentators that were corporate media. They were looking out for their career, their money, their pocket, all that kind of stuff. And they saw people like Vicki and African Diaspora Network, they have over 1 million subscribers, as a threat. Because they were giving you a side of the story that Joy was not giving you on MSNBC. Not to mention, they have their own app. African Diaspora Network is not just on YouTube. Phil Scott and them, like, they built something. Like, it's not like no little measly, no. They saw them as a threat. continue.
They're only concerned about themselves individually in their little small groups, and they will throw you to the wolves. And they front in your face, and they cuss you out, and they mock you, and they work to censor us. So no, I ain't crying for Joy today, because she worked to silence us.
Yeah, and I kind of felt the same way. I mean, that's why I was just kind of like, do you guys know what they were doing behind the scenes? And I will go to another part of that discussion right about here. Did you guys know, and I think I brought this up before, I don't know if everyone's aware of this, but Joy Reid was the one who silenced Breonna Joy Gray. See, these are the kind of things. You guys understand, people have been blacklisted. Breonna Joy Gray was supposed to go into MSNBC. Do you know the booker who booked Breonna Joy Gray for the segment? Do you know that it was Joy Reid who fired him? Come with it. Did you guys know that? Don't ever bring her on here. Blacklist. We literally had other Black people in corporate media blocking us, silencing us, censoring us. This is what I was trying to tell you guys. Let me let her go on more. Don't cry for Joy.
Again, I'm a woman. And I'm a woman and I get emotional too. It's not about the fact that you cry. It's what you are crying about. Where is my gavel? Talk back to me, somebody. Is Joy Reid, and I also call her Joyless Reid. Did Joyless Reid cry because the Democrat Party refused to give us reparations? Did Joyless Reid cry when the Democrats set up out of Chicago, for example? There are many other places of sabotage by the Democrat Party, their most loyal base after 60 years of voting for them. When the Biden administration was in office and Joy Reid still had her show, did Joy Reid cry about the fact that they pushed for a crime bill and successfully got one for the AAPI community and then redirected money, $50 million just to their community? Money that was already in the government, and the Democrats did that? And they rejected of doing the same thing for us. Did she cry over that?
Mm-mm.
Did Joy cry when they tried to institute stuff online to silence our voices? Did Joy Reid cry when some of us, like myself, was targeted by a so-called fact-checking group? And they put my name in there to misrepresent me and didn't reach out to me to come after me? Did Joy Reid cry over that? Did Joy Reid cry over the fact that her network, how many of y'all saw my broadcast that I did here a couple of years ago on how Tiffany Cross says tried to come for me slick wise? How many of y'all saw that? Google it. Y'all see it right here in the search engine. Right here on this network. How many of y'all saw I did a broadcast where Jamil Hill called herself trying to come for me? She worked for ESPN before they let her go unceremoniously.
Yep.
How many of you all saw the back-to-back broadcast that we did on Angela Rye when she was dogging us, dogging people that we love and appreciate, and she crying a river because CNN and stuff, and nobody cares for them, and nobody is coming for them anymore. All of her hopes and dreams of going back on mainstream media and getting into the White House as an aide to Capitol Hill, her dreams were dashed. And she cried and cried and cried and cried some more, and said that she didn't get out, and her colleague told me he didn't get out the bed for days. And she said she was getting up in the middle of the night screaming randomly, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm not exaggerating. How many of y'all saw the broadcast we did here, family?
And to this point from Charles, she definitely didn't cry when she took over. I think it mean Melissa Harris Perry's show after she refused to let the establishment use her. Nope, she sure didn't, Charles. This is karma. This is why I told you guys. This is why people are like, don't you feel sympathy or sad? Hells no. No, 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 no. Wait, we ain't done yet. Wait till you hear more. You'll understand why.
Why am I bringing that up? The whole time they had those positions, they mocked us. They worked to silence us. They pushed for policies that they know, because we use alternative media, they were pushing for policies that would censor us so that we would not continue to be a competitor to their voices. How many of you all know
I told you guys that they were working toward. That's why. Remember all those hoops? You guys know. Hold on one second. You guys know how we have to jump over hoops and stuff to talk about certain things on here and all that kind of stuff. Like, who you think people were behind all that? Like, they defended, because again, like I said, they were competition. And not necessarily me, but African Diaspora Network has over 1 million subscribers. They are competition to someone like a Joy Reid or to someone like a Tiffany Cross. They were competition. So this is what they were doing. I'm telling you guys.
The statistics and the statisticians and the demographers show that more and more folks are trusting us, listening to us, and that the cable news networks and legacy media is losing authority and power. Yes?
Told you.
How many of you all know Joy was about that life? Now, she's sitting up here talking about the fact in that clip, well, I went hard for Black Lives Matter. She said that she discussed and she does not apologize. What else did she say? For standing up for the LGBTQ community. She said she does not apologize for standing up on behalf of immigrants who just come here to this country for X, Y, and Z. Family, with her arrogant self, they still chose to silence the very large Black grassroots voice and those that represent them like us, like voices like mine that have been doing this for years, and that did it in my own unusual way when the rest of the world mocked me. Joy's buddies, her network, which I brought up a minute ago, MSNBC. How many of you all know that before they fired Tiffany Cross a couple of years ago, that network, MSNBC, specifically her show, Tiffany, she specifically called out one of our Black grassroots voices and told their audience not to listen to us. I gotta emphasize that because I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Joy is crying because she wants us to feel bad because she feels like her voice, her show has been stopped. Meanwhile, she was willfully, knowingly, and intentionally working to sabotage, silence, prevent, frustrate, fall, and stop and demolish our voices, which were your voices.
So that's a big part I think people need to fully understand. Again, like I said, they've actively been blacklisting people. And I'm talking about people that are good, because what I got to get to is this, and I'll bring up this other part here. What I have to get to is this. When you hear them say that we need more Black media, we want more Black voices, they're not talking about any Black person. They're not even talking about the best Black commentator. They're talking about a Black voice that is pro-Democrat. You cannot be too hard on the Democratic Party. That's what they're talking about. Hell, they would be more willing to take someone who has less talent and less experience than before they take someone who has the talent and has the experience that is too hard on the Democratic Party. When you hear people like Joy Reid and all of them, Joy and Roland and all of them, we need more Black media. We need more Black media. They're not talking about people like Breonna Joy Gray. They're not talking about people like me. They're not talking about people like Jamal Thomas. They're not talking about us. They're talking about Black people that fit a certain mold, and that mold is pro-Democratic Party. And you may be able to push back on the Democratic Party, but you are never, ever, 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 ever going to tell people, no, I don't think you guys should support them. Because it's basically an arm of the Democratic Party. Just like you can say Fox News is an arm of the Republican Party. So they're not talking about us. That's what people have to understand. We'll get to this part here as well.
They officially helped Biden get into office. Remember, they started ignoring Reverend Al Sharpton. Remember they started ignoring the Urban League. Do y'all remember that? They started ignoring all the black bootleg type and so-called civil rights groups. What happened? How many of y'all remember Reverend Al Sharpton and them exposed them on their platforms? And that forced Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to answer their calls. Because remember, they came out and said, they're not even answering our calls no more. So what did he do? What did Kamala Harris do? They were forced to meet with them by Zoom. And in that Zoom meeting, Joe Biden admitted something. And the media tried to spin it. They tried to say, well, he didn't mean it like that, or it was out of context. No, baby. Did Joy Reid cry? And did Joy Reid do any broadcast on the fact that Joe Biden said that America is doomed, not only because of black folks?
Yep.
And then he said that because white folks in America are getting ready to be the minority here come 2040, that they're also doomed.
Do you guys remember it was not too long after Biden won and there was that call? This is what she's talking about, that call with those civil rights leaders. And he said, nothing's going to happen for you. Now's not the time. Notice how black media either didn't talk about that, was hesitant somewhat, or they defended it.
Did Joy cry when he said that? Did she cry when he said, and y'all gonna have to work with the Hispanics? As soon as he said that, mainstream media went out to try to put out little stuff online to say, well, it's out of context. He was making a larger point. No. Did Joy cover that? Did Joy do back-to-back broadcasts and cry when Joe Biden said that we ain't black?
No.
If we don't vote for him? And then she sit up here talking about she spoke up for Gaza. I'm not going to get off into all that, but tell the truth. She wasn't even talking about them folks in Gaza until the last minute. It got so outrageous, she was forced to say one or two things. And even then, she didn't even say nothing strong enough because she was getting so much backlash for not saying nothing at all. Now she's trying to fix her legacy. So now that she out, it'll look like she was about that life.
I told you guys, that was all that time that went by. And then she finally said something. And even the criticism that Joy had at that point was mild, right? So it was mild criticism that Joy had at that time. Meanwhile, all of us in independent media, all of us actually were talking about that. We're going to get to this part here. I think this is where we get into the Sean Hannity part. This is juicy, guys. Listen to this.
Why is this important? It's important why I called her out and others like her, and why I was effective in staying on her. It's because these are your modern false prophets. Did you hear what I said? These are your modern false prophets. Family, do you understand that whoever has access to the minds of the masses controls the world? I'm going to say it again. Whoever has access to the minds of the masses literally control the world. How many of you all know there's a such thing as a war of words? There's a reason we call it a war of words. Because before the war, the victory is won out in the battle physically. There first has to be a narrative, a consciousness to mess with the ecospace of society. You got to see the message out there in the consciousness and the minds of the people. How many of you all know that the reason why they work so hard to dog black folks is that way when the police took us out, deleted us on camera, nobody would rise up to do nothing. All they would say is, well, they some thugs anyway.
That part right there. And then we have one more part I want to get to here. This is the part about how Sean Hannity and all of them behind the scenes, how they actually working together. So listen to this part. I'm trying to tell you guys, peep this.
This headline, family, is from 2021. This headline says, Hannity tells Santorum he helped prevent Joy Reid from being fired. I know y'all said, Vicki, I know you ain't talking about Fox News Hannity. I know you're not talking about Rick Santorum, the political guy and the guy that's on CNN and stuff. Yes. Why in the world would Fox News come out and do something of the sort? Listen to this headline. I don't have time to show it to you, but just so you know, I'm not lying to you, because I know everybody, on this network, they do everything professional, baby, and everything. So I don't have the article to put up. I want you all to look it up when you get a chance. This particular article I'm reading from is from The Hill. Headline: Hannity tells Santorum he helped prevent Joy Reid from being fired. This is from 2021. I've been talking about this for years. I use this article as just one example of the fact that I knew they was going to get rid of her to supplement what I was always saying, and I was prophesying to her early on that they was going to let her go. She was just a tool for them to use. What does it say? Fox News host Sean Hannity, during a Monday interview with Rick Santorum, who was just fired by CNN, said an NBC executive thanked him for defending MSNBC's Joy Reid and helping her keep her job. Quote, when Joy Reid was in trouble, I was called by an NBC executive who said your public comments played a big role in us being able to keep her, meaning her job, Hannity said. She wrote me a nice note.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of many things I was discussing. Why did I bring this up? Even though I was telling y'all a long time ago they was going to eventually get rid of her. And why was I using all this evidence over the years to prove my point? I used Sean Hannity and Fox News to let you all know it's a game.
It's a game. It's a game.
Reid was fronting. They love the Republicans. They love Fox because they bounce off of each other. Do you all know that that's how ratings work? Do you all know that Fox News' rating is higher because they're more effective in placating the needs of their very biased and anti-Black audience? But they got to have a Black face in order to be effective and keep attacking them. So one of the reasons why Sean Hannity of Fox News was fighting to keep Joy, because he needed a face to keep punching at for his audience. When you look at the multi-trillion-dollar war bill that your government can't account for the last several audits, both sides are for it.
Both sides are for it. I think we have to drop the beat. It is a game. Dance with me. Dance with me. To the club. Shoot the club. What I've been telling you guys. So think about this for a second, right? These people are enemies in front of the camera. Behind the scenes, it's a totally different thing. So you have to have someone to bounce off of, right? So she gives the example with Joy Reid and Sean Hannity, and she sends them a nice note and all that kind of stuff. She is right. It's like they need to have one to bounce off the other. I saw this during the 90s with the talk shows. Remember the 90s, all the talk shows? You had Oprah, Ricky Lake, Phil Donahue, until, they got rid of Phil. And Geraldo, all those different talk shows that were around during the 90s. Don't forget, there was also beef between those talk show hosts. See, people forget about these things. So it's like you had to have that person to bounce off of. It's designed to be a certain way. Fox News would have difficulty without MSNBC and CNN. CNN would have difficulty. CNN and MSNBC would have difficulty without Fox News. She's right. It is a game. These people been playing games. And Joy Reid, the moment she got to, she never really took no step forward to stand up for said people. If anything, I showed you the clip. I showed you the screenshot when she was smearing the ADOS organization, calling them Russian. I told you this is what they do. They'll either smear you as right wing. They'll call you Russian bots, disinformation, anyone that is Black and is not necessarily pro-Democrat. Anyone that's a voice of the Black grassroots, this is what they do. And they've done this to Breonna Joy Gray. And that was even when she was Bernie Sanders' press secretary who was running through the Democratic Party. They were smearing her then. So think about that. They've done it to her. They've done it to me. They've done it to anybody. I'm trying to tell you, if you are not in that It's a cult. This is what I mean when I say it's a cult. You have to be willing to play a certain game. And if you're not willing to play that game, they will not only pretend like you don't exist, they will try to do everything that they can to silence you or to smear you or to tell people don't pay attention to them. But see, this wasn't supposed to happen because the thing is this. Independent media was never supposed to become this big. Independent media was never supposed to become this big. And it has. Look around. Look how many independent media channels are now over 1 million subscribers. That was never supposed to happen. They were never supposed to really compete with CNN and all of them. They weren't thinking about these little small YouTube channels. But look at now, where you have more people willing to watch independent media. And then they're like, I don't know if CNN and Fox News tell me the truth. Let me go see what some of the YouTube hosts have to say. There's a reason why a show like Redacted had over 12,000 people watching it live yesterday afternoon alone, because they were willing to tell you things. They warned you that this Epstein file release wasn't going to be what you thought it was going to be. And you may not agree with these shows on everything. Fine. It is what it is. But they were working to silence, in particular, they were working to silence Black grassroots. And it was our own damn people doing it. So you remember what Dr. West say, Black faces in high places. Everybody not cool with what you're doing. And you'll find that if you're listening to me and you've been thinking about starting a YouTube show and you want to be outside, I'm going to let you know, everybody's not going to be cool with what you're doing. And you need to ask yourself why. And you'll see it even in independent media, even in left, so-called progressive independent media on YouTube. There are some who have worked to do the same thing that Joy Reid did, actively smear or silence Black grassroots voices. There's a reason why you don't see too many Black people on those channels. And there are a number of us around. Jamal Thomas, who's been on here. Excellent, phenomenal, smart. Jamal Thomas, Tim Black, right? So just some of the voices. Jason, who just started, he was just on here recently for a panel. Amazing, excellent voice. There are a number of Black podcasters who have come onto this show, but you don't see them on a lot of other people's shows. That's on purpose. It's not because they're not willing to go. It's because even in independent media, you have the gatekeeping, and they don't want their audience to hear what you have to say because they are more worried about audience capture. I don't want my viewers to go over to that channel. I want to keep them all to myself. So if you're not in that Democrat bubble, they are not trying to entertain you. Everyone has to pay attention to stuff like this. So when you hear people say, we don't have that many, there's no Black voices in independent, that's a damn lie. There are Black voices in independent media on YouTube, and you've seen me bring them on this show. You just don't see them on other shows, on the bigger shows, because they don't want their audience to hear it. So you have gatekeeping on both sides.
Both sides are against you getting reparations, Black family. They want you to pretend like there's a major difference between the two parties. They'll disagree on one thing or another, so that when in fact it's really controlled opposition. They give you the appearance. I grew up in Mississippi, and on the weekends, my grandparents and some of my family used to watch, what is it called? WWF? WWF. Now, when I was real young, like 5, 6, 7, that I didn't know that at that age that it was really fake. Talk Black to me, somebody. My granddaddy would be sitting there, talk Black to me, somebody. My mama would watch, my grandmama. Y'all ain't hearing me today. The whole family was sitting there watching WW. I didn't know till about some years later. Oh, this ain't real.
Nope. It's a game. And I'm going to leave it there. You guys can watch the full video on African Diaspora News channel. But no, it's a game. Just like it's not real with corporate media, a lot of times it's not real with independent media either. But the censorship and the silencing that I was telling you about, that's been going on for a long time. Long time. And the sad part about it is, yes, Joy Reid, she wasn't the only one, but she was one of the ones that was doing that. So you see, there's this thing called karma. And sometimes what you do to other people, it come back on you. And that's what happened to Joy. She wasn't thinking about that, to that poster's point. She wasn't thinking about that when Melissa Harris, was pushed out of that spot. And so Joy could walk into it. Because Melissa Harris said, no, you're not gonna censor me. So what's done in the dark will come to light. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.